Hey, how's everybody doing? Well, I'm doing a little makeup for last night since I had a bit of a, I can't say a bit of an issue. I'd have to put the word S at the end. Many issues. So, I'm gonna start with a made up on the spot version of Trains, and then I'm gonna do the song about George that I did last night. Trains that I have ridden and the men that I've outrun, somewhere down the line, like all the places I was young, the fires and the whispers that were kept until the dawn died, beneath the cold steel bridges when the whistle moved me on. I've been shot in Alabama and I passed out in New Orleans. Mississippi River is the biggest thing I've seen. Been all the way out to the Oklahoma plains. Still think it's gotta be the longest place I laid. And the trains that I have ridden and the men that I've outrun, somewhere down the line, like all other places I was young. Fires and the whispers that were kept until the dawn, well, they died beneath the cold steel bridges when the whistle moved me on. I know girls that live way out on the edge of town, want to run away, yes sir, but their daddies hold them down. Sometimes I wonder if I'm out there 1,000 miles from home, with all the dried out matches in my pockets that I own. Trains that I have ridden and the men that I've outrun, somewhere down the line, like all the places I was young. Fires and the whispers that were kept until the dawn, now beneath the cold steel bridges when the whistle moved me on. All right, welcome. Now I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna do the song about George. Although, I don't know if anybody that was coming back to see it. If you miss it, then I'd just say go back and watch the beginning of the video again. But it's a true story about a veteran, a man who served in the army named George. And the riddle about George is, George lived in the same house his whole life, but he only moved once. Now, how in the world can that be true? Well, it could be true because in the 1950s, George moved his house 25 feet away, farther back from the street. So here's a song about George from Amherst, Ohio. George's parents built that house in 1928 with a Sears and Roebuck kit they bought in town. Grandma owned all the land out behind the creek, and when a need came, Dad helped everyone around. Mom became the rock they'd need the day her husband died, and helped the church nearby take down their tree. You know, George was just 14 the day he had to face the world, with his father gone and 7 mouths to feed. The world can turn you bitter and dissatisfied, but something that just never crossed his mind. So every morning up by dawn, down the road to someone's barn, George milked cows before he went to school. When the teacher rang the bell, he walked back to the farm till 7 or whenever he was through. And then he'd head home down that tar and gravel road, with $1.50 gallon milk for Mom. He'd curl up in an old soft chair while she put his supper on. Next thing he knew, she'd wake him up at dawn. And the world can turn you bitter and dissatisfied, which is something that just never crossed his mind. It's a small, small world. If your heart is open for the song, all around this earth one thing is certain, he's for sure. There's more people that will treat you right than wrong. His mom lived to wake George up each day for work. She was a drive that kept the family on their feet. One day George said, "You don't need to help me anymore." But he took it back, his tears ran down her cheek. There came 39 years rigging steel and crushing slag, with 4 years of the army in between. 90 times around the sun and counting, counting on, in 100 trips across this earth and all he's seen. It's a small, small world. If your heart is open for a song, all around this earth one thing is certain, he's for sure. There's more people that will treat you right than wrong. Now this is a part of the song that I tried to get right, and it just ain't right in the song yet. It's gonna need some work, but it's just not there yet. It's presentable, but it's basically talking about how George, in his theme that there's more people around the world that treat you right than wrong, he was at the Great Wall of China, just kind of hanging out. He was the only American there, and he went into this one like old guard tower type area. And there was a family that was in there, Chinese local family. Well, I don't know if they were local, I just know they were Chinese. And he enters it. And they all kind of start talking real concerned looking, kind of scared looking. And they turned their backs and they left and they walked away. I mean, he didn't think much of it, except he thought, well, guess they don't like me, I don't know. Maybe they don't like Americans here. Well, about a minute later, they come in with this little girl, probably a daughter they had that was maybe down the wall with grandpa, grandma hanging out or something. Maybe she had wandered off. And they bring her into the room. And she speaks to George. And that's what this part is trying to convey. I just couldn't squeeze it all in. There's no road on the Great Wall of China like George imagined. There's just ups and downs and stairs where the guards used to keep watch. And that one sightseeing American, George, a local Chinese family, backed away, and they turned their backs and they hurried off. But just a minute they came back later with their little girl. They'd gone to get her just for George. She looked up with deep brown eyes and opened her mouth in perfect American English and said, "I speak English. May I speak with you, sir?" Well, George, he's taken trips to El Salvador to build houses, to paint a church, and do what he could to help out. He once met a woman in Thailand. She was German, and she had been born next to his great-grandfather's hometown. Speaking of his great-grandfather in Germany, way before George's time, his great-grandparents left that village in Germany for the United States. Well, now Route 2 goes right over their Ohio place. That's how much time has passed. It covers up a farm they built on Dewey Road in Amherst. Dewey Road in Amherst. Oh, yeah. Dewey Road's where George still lives today. Now every pasture's been torn down, and back behind the creek are homes. And that tar and gravel road he walked got paved. He's seen the world top to bottom, always comes back to that home that his parents built in 1928. And the world can turn you bitter and dissatisfied, which is something that just never crossed his mind. It's a small, small world. If your heart is open for the song, all around this earth, one thing is certain, he's for sure. There's more people that will treat you right than wrong. It's a small, small world. If your heart is open for the song, all around this earth, one thing is certain, he's for sure. There's more people that will treat you right than wrong. There's more people that will treat you right than wrong. All right, everybody, I'm going to check real quick, see if there's any messages. So, and if not, and I got to make sure that I'm connected. But hang in there. We're going to pick it up in about 1 second. All right. Now, if I'm streaming live actually, which it looks like I'm not, but if I actually am, then I'll be back in a few minutes. Otherwise, I guess I'm about to start.